So here we have the TRSHMSTR from WMD, made in collaboration with Electro duo MSTRKRFT. So let's have a quick jam and then we'll get into the features. And some drums. So the TRSHMSTR is a combination of a filter and a drive. This is based on MSTRKRFT patching through wah pedals and then distortion pedals, notably a Crybaby wah from Dunlop and an Ibanez Tube Screamer style drive. That's how they were working with their synths, be it modular or mono synths, and processing and distorting and shaping those tones. So this is loosely based on a vintage wah filter, which is bandpass in style, and this is loosely based on a Tube Screamer style drive. But WMD have heavily expanded both of those in terms of response, the amount of gain and drive on offer, and brought in CV and some interesting and useful normalization options or normaling options to get the most out of this thing. So I'll pull the cables and we'll go through the features. So we have the filter roll, which controls the filter, and the drive roll of sockets that control the drive, and then a little bit of CV attenuation as well. So you can see these dotted lines, they're actually connecting. If we plug into the filter, the output of the filter would then normal down to the input of the drive, and then we could come out of the drive output. We could plug into the input of the drive, then the output of the drive would normal to the input of the filter, and then we would come out of the output of the filter. So their ins and outs will normal, allowing you to patch into one, come out of the other. So you could patch into the drive and come out of the filter, going drive then filter in your signal path. Or you could go into the filter and out of the drive, meaning you're going through the filter, then the drive. You can also use these entirely independently. So we have frequency control for this wah bandpass style filter, and resonance with 3 flavors of resonance that offer different clipping and feedback in that resonance circuit. For the filter, we get frequency CV with an attenuator, key in, which is the volt per octave tracking input. This is really useful because this will self-oscillate, and going through the drive, we can gritty up and distort and add harmonics to this oscillating filter and use this like an oscillator. And resonance CV. On the drive section, we have gain with 3 flavors of distortion, all slightly different in tone, carrying different weight in different frequency areas. We have a high pass filter, controlling how much low end is entering this drive, and we have a tone, and we get gain CV with an attenuator, so off in the middle for our CV, and then we're opening up the attenuation or inverting to the left, and we also get a tone CV as well. So let's check this out on a simple sound, and we'll rebuild up this patch that we had at the start of the video. My input is some basic analog style waves, and I'll come straight out of the filter. So let's explore the filter section. So 3 very different resonance flavors there. Already lots of drive, quite nasal and vocal. It's really finely tuned. For this kind of wah-like filtering. Let's check out the drive. So we're going to go straight into the drive and straight out of the drive. We have gain and tone as the 2 knobs. And as well as me moving the flavour there, let's check out the high pass, which is going to change the amount of bass entering this drive circuit. So you can really shave off a lot of low end, pushing the focus up into those gritty mid-tones. Now the real beauty of this comes when you use them together. So if I come out of the drive, but first go into the filter. It's just a glorious interaction between the pair of them. Now let's patch this envelope into the frequency control. I'm going to patch this second envelope into the resonance CV, which is playing a slightly different gate pattern. I'm going to take a bipolar version of this envelope. This WMD multimode envelope gives us various outs into the gain. Allowing us to use this like a VCA almost, cutting the sound in and out, or we can invert that CV. Finally, let's patch an LFO into the tone CV on the gain section. So there's loads of tones to be had. Let's try out some different patches and different inputs and see how the TRSHMSTR responds. So here we have a randomly triggered low 808 style kick sample, and this is the sound dry. Very simple and quite pure 808 style kick. Now let's patch this through the drive section and really see what that can do in terms of offering us noise, grit and saturation over the sound. And that high pass filter is having a massive effect on this, really obvious when we're using this low end kick. I actually prefer taking the most amount of low end out. Let's check out the different flavors. Middle one seems most noisy. The noise almost seems to kind of chatter. Tone affecting noise more prominently there because we've not got much high end in our input signal. We can of course back the gain down. And just kind of warm up and clip our kicks a little bit. But when you've got a unit called the TRSHMSTR, where's the fun in that? Let's add another sound to our input. So we'll go dry again. Here's the kick. Now with an extra percussion sound. Let's add an LFO to the gain CV. And another LFO to tone. So it's a great, flavourful, noisy, characterful distortion unit. So here we're going to use the filter to affect a feedback path that I've patched around a PT-based delay. You're currently just listening to my input signal. A little FM donk, if you will. And here's the delay. Still not using TRSHMSTR. But I've split the output of my delay and I'm sending this into TRSHMSTR. The output is then coming back down into my patch and mixing with the dry input to the delay, creating a feedback loop. So let's turn TRSHMSTR on in this loop. And as soon as I start to move the frequency around, you'll hear that we're filtering and processing that feedback trail around the delay. Allowing us to add a duller filtered trail or a higher, more resonant trail. And with any feedback path, just be careful because feedback being feedback can really easily get out of hand. So let's modulate this frequency with an LFO. Let's also modulate the resonance input with another LFO. So you can start to get really creative, patching up your own feedback loops, processing them through the filter, the distortion, or both. But just be careful with levels in any feedback loop. It can really easily get out of hand. And as it's a delay, that out of hand clipped feedback will echo through the system for a while. So for this final patch, let's turn TRSHMSTR into its own quirky little oscillator. With onboard wave shaping, because we've got that distortion as well. Turning the resonance up full, this will self-oscillate. I'm coming out of the filter, into a VCA that's already been modulated by an envelope, just to keep this a bit more rhythmic, musical, and not just droning filter oscillations. So let's make it oscillate. Now the flavour for the resonance feedback circuit will have a big effect here. The key in is your sort of keyboard tracking, volt per octave tracking. So let's patch a sequence into there. Now let's further shape this by coming out of the drive output, and this normal in will mean the filter's out, goes to the drive's in, and will come out of the drive's output. Let's try an LFO to the gain CV. Quite a fast one. Audio rate modulating that gain CV gives us some quite cool tones. So that's a simple way to turn this into a quirky oscillator with some onboard distortion and shaping. Let's patch this through a delay, because why not? So thanks for tuning in and checking out the WMD TRSHMSTR made in collaboration with Electro duo Mastercraft. Be sure to check out other Modular Monthly videos on the Future Music channel, and thanks for watching.